But the car that made Jaguar a winner again at Le Mans, we test the world champion sports prototype.
This is the car that's bringing back the glory days of the 50s. Years when Jaguar's C-types and D-types swept to victory at Le Mans. Now in the 80s, a Group C sports prototype is a very different machine indeed. There's now all-enclosed bodywork, enclosed wheels, and the regulations are really a fuel consumption rule. Engines are free, but you've got to get away with 5.5 miles per gallon, and with that the designers need to produce over 700 horsepower to be a race winner. So with Jaguar competing against the might of Porsche, whose entries include a car for myself and Derek Bell, Mercedes, Peugeot, Aston Martin, and the might of the Japanese manufacturers Nissan, Toyota and Mazda, how is it that the Jaguar has become a world beater?
The impetus for the whole project was the success that Tom Walkinshaw Racing had already had, winning the European Touring Car Championship with the 5.3-litre V12-engined XJS. For this car, that same production block was bored out to 7 litres and produces over 700 horsepower, compared to the 300 of the standard road car. As you can imagine, there's very little of the original engine left, but it still maintains that same basic configuration, still only 2 valves per cylinder and a single camshaft per bank. TWR were commissioned to develop the engines and to produce a chassis. For this, they engaged Tony Southgate as designer. The suspension layout, both front and rear, follows modern, ultra-stiff racing practice. But still of great significance in sports car racing is the elusive ground effect that sucks the car down into the ground and generates even greater grip from these huge tyres. The two key elements to ground effect design are the height above the ground of the regulation full-width flat bottom, and then the shape of these upswept tunnels that pull the air out from under the car, thus accelerating the airflow, which creates a negative pressure that sucks the car down onto the ground. This whole car is ballasted to reach the minimum weight regulation of 900 kilograms, but the ground effect under the car, combined with the pressure on top of the body and the rear wing, they combine to give an extra downforce of 450 kilos at 100 miles an hour, rising to an incredible 1,800 kilos at 200 miles an hour. Now that's a bit like sitting 2 Ford Granadas on top of it. To control the vital underbody airflow, the gap between the front splitter and the ground is critical. The stiff suspension is necessary to maintain that as constant as possible. Go too low and too little air will go underneath the car, choking the airflow. A little bit too high, too much air goes underneath, spoiling the effect. And if you go even higher than that, you're in danger of a backflip at 200 miles an hour.
A lap of Silverstone in the Jaguar XJR-9 sports prototype, and it's such a shame that the conditions are so foul. But Group C cars have to race in the rain and the dry. They race day and night at Le Mans, so they've got to be quick in all conditions. And this Jaguar is superb. Up to Megas. 5th gear, just staying wide of the apex to miss the puddle and the bumps. Normally that's taken flat out without a worry, but when you're learning a new car and it's not your car, you don't do these things too quickly. Beckett's adverse camber dragging you out to the left, the puddle's waiting to catch me out as we feed in that lovely torquey power from the V12. Up to 4th for Chapel. Already this wonderful car gives me an amazing amount of confidence, even in these foul conditions. Braking. Normally this is a stab of the brakes and 4th for Stowe. I'm going down to 3rd because this long sweep ends in some nasty puddles waiting to catch me out. And from Stowe down to Club, there are lakes on both sides of the track. I'm steering a middle line, trying to keep out of the deepest water as the car twitches. 3rd for Club. Again the car sliding wide, understeering in the grease, speed in the power. Up to 4th gear on the charge up to heavy. Normally taken absolutely flat out in 5th gear. Through that low long sweeping corner. Normally over 200 miles an hour up to the Den Express Bridge before changing down for the new Woodcut complex. A flooded and very tricky little left-right where it's so important to feed the power in and keep it on. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Up to third, up to fourth, and another lap of the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit in this superb sports racing car. Well, my stint's over now. It's into the pit lane. I haven't even got enough fuel for one more lap, so tight are the margins in this racing. The crew's going to be ready, the co-driver will take over, they'll put on a new set of tyres, fill it up with petrol. Pit stops, such an important element, most important in sports prototype racing. There's the crew, it's in, new tyres are waiting, ignition off.
Pit stops aren't quite as frantic as a Grand Prix tyre change because the regulations dictate a refuelling flow of only 1 litre per second. So with the tank almost dry now, that means it's going to be between 90 and 100 seconds before the car's full. So while my co-driver belts himself in, the screen is cleaned, there's a visual check done on the car above and below, and in about another 40 seconds, as long as there's no problems, my co-driver's going to be back in the race. For me, it's time for a nice cool drink and a bit of a rest.
I'm back in the car again now, waiting for my next stint. We're just waiting for the last few litres of fuel to go in. I'm in first gear ready. Wait for the team manager. There, we're full. We're ready for another stint. And the secret now really is to get back up to racing speeds as soon as possible. You need 100% concentration almost immediately. There's never any time in the Group C race to lose any time. Le Mans last year, there were almost 24 stints for the 24 hours, and by the end of the race, the winning margin was just over 2 minutes.